Hey guys, it's Aman
and Christina
from
Our Rich Journey. In this video, we're going to talk to you about retirement planning. We've gotten a lot of questions about this in our comments and people sending us emails specifically asking what they should do if they don't have a retirement plan and they're close to retirement. So in this video, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what you need to do in order to establish a retirement plan when you're in your 40s, your 50s, and your 60s and you don't have one yet. So the first thing you need to do is determine how much money you're going to need to retire. And you want to figure out this number because that's going to determine how much you need in investments in order to retire.
Now don't get overwhelmed doing this. What you want to do is just put forth your best guess estimate. Now there are a couple different ways to do this, but one calculator that we like the most is smartassets.com. Their calculator, in our opinion, seems to be the most accurate. So now that you figure out how much money you need to retire, you want to start contributing to your retirement accounts. Even if you never have before in the past, you can start right now. Open up a traditional or a Roth IRA if your employer is not providing you with a retirement account. And if your employer is providing you with a retirement account, start contributing and start contributing as much as possible.
Now, when we're talking about contributing as much as possible, use your age as an advantage. So if you're 50 years or older, you can actually contribute more to your 401k and to your IRA. If you're 50 years or older, for your 401k, you can contribute up to $25,000 a year. And for your IRA, you can contribute up to $7,000 a year.
I mean, that is a lot of money. That's $32,000 a year that you can contribute to your retirement accounts. And see, that is a big deal because what that does, it can reduce your taxable income significantly. So that means more money to invest in your retirement accounts that won't be taxed.
Now that you've maxed out your contributions to your 401k and your IRA, the next thing you want to do is open up a separate brokerage account and begin investing in a target date fund. Target date funds are designed to reduce the volatility in the market, and they use a specified date to determine whether or not you should be investing more in equities or in bonds.
Now you don't have to do a target date fund. That is just something that we are recommending because it is very easy to do. It does the allocation for you based off of your age and when you're expected to retire.
And it does very frequent rebalancing for you. Now you can do this on your own in a general index fund if you want to, but if you don't feel comfortable with rebalancing your portfolio, a target date fund is a great way to go.
Now you're probably thinking, how is it that I'm going to be able to max out my retirement accounts and open a brokerage account and start putting money into that? Don't worry about that just yet. What we want you to focus on right now is devising this plan. We are going to talk about how you can reduce your expenses and increase your income so that you can get to this point. But this should be your overall goal. The third thing you want to do is assess what retirement income you're entitled to. And when we say entitled, we're talking about your Social Security and your pensions. Now, let's talk about Social Security. Your Social Security, if you've paid into it, you are entitled to it. Now, there's a lot of controversy about whether or not Social Security will be around. We're not going to get into that, but what you should do is go to the Social Security Administration's website and get a copy of your Social Security statement.
Now, if you go online to the Social Security Administration website, you can find how much you'd be collecting at different ages. So at 62, that's the earliest you can begin collecting Social Security, but you're going to do that at a reduced rate. And at 66 or 67, then you can collect Social Security at 100%. But if you wait until you're 70, you can actually collect Social Security at a rate of 132%. So you want to figure out what that payment would be at different various ages in your life. Now let's talk about pensions. You may have a pension in your current job, or you may have a job that you worked at previously that you're entitled to a pension from. A lot of federal or state government jobs, if you've worked at them for a period of 5 years, they'll offer you a pension. So you want to research that and find out if you're entitled to a pension also.
So the three things we've just talked about are going to set the stage for your late retirement planning. What we're going to talk about next is reducing your expenses and increasing your income. This is going to be the hack that's going to get you to retirement comfortably.
Now, if you want to get to retirement comfortably, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. And that means looking at your budget, cutting costs, and use that cost that you cut in order to invest. Now, you want to look at your budget line by line because there are definitely areas that you should be able to cut and use that money to invest.
So after you've gone line by line and cut little things from your budget, you want to go after the big ticket items, like your housing. Housing represents almost 30% of most people's budget.
Now, being able to cut or reduce your housing costs will accelerate your savings tremendously. You can save and invest a lot more by reducing those costs. We did a video about how we save 70% of our income, and a large majority of that is because we live rent and mortgage free.
So there are a number of ways to reduce your housing costs. You can house hack, you can put a room on Airbnb, you can put your whole house on Airbnb when you're not using it. There are so many different ways. In fact, when I was first out of college, I lived with a woman and her son that were renting a room out, and they were saving a significant amount of money for the mom's retirement.
And there's more than just renting a room out or renting out your property. There's other considerations that you can make, such as downsizing. If you live in a huge house or even a house that's bigger than what you need, you can downsize and save money in that way.
And another option is to move to a lower cost of living area. So we're from California, and people do this all the time. They'll move from California to Nevada or California to Iowa. They'll move to places where it's cheaper for them and they can save that money and use it towards their retirement.
And the third thing you want to focus on is not obtaining any new additional debt. Now that goes without saying, but I think people think a lot about debt. They're thinking about new cars or new homes, which is really obvious. But one of the big things that we want to discuss is taking on debt in the form of student loans for your children.
Oh, people are not gonna like this. Okay, because as parents, and we're parents too, you feel this obligation to pay for your child's education. And too many times we see people trading off their retirement for their children's education. And this is something that if you're in this situation, you should take a hard look at. Because you cannot borrow or get a loan for your retirement, but your children can borrow or get a loan for their education.
So the concept goes like this. Consider someone having to take out a loan for your child. It's either going to be you or it's going to be your child as the student. If you take out the loan, you're delaying your retirement by X number of years. But if your child takes out the loan, they have a lifetime to repay that loan. You have a much shorter span to repay the loan and reach retirement. So the idea is don't take on that additional debt. Try and find ways so that your child doesn't have to take on debt, but if it comes down to someone taking out the loan, it should be your child and not you. Now, our advice seems really harsh. We're talking about not paying your child's education and focusing on yourself in your retirement instead. But the reason why we're giving this advice is because we're taking it from the viewpoint that you have not invested any money in retirement whatsoever. So you need to be throwing money towards retirement so that you can eventually retire.
So you are cutting expenses, you are avoiding debt, but you need to start generating income. And one of the most important things you can do, and we talk about this all the time, is starting a side hustle. At a minimum, we're saying 10 hours a week. Start this side hustle. Go into something that you enjoy though, because this may be one of those side hustles that you do after you retire, that actually supplements your retirement. So take a look at maybe some of our old videos, or maybe pursue a passion that you have always wanted to do. And the last thing is to stay positive. When we get this question about I'm so late in life and I haven't been saving for retirement, they seem to be very pessimistic type of questions. But I think what people are failing to realize is that life is very long. You can live to be 80, 90, 100 years old. And if you haven't saved and you're 50 years old, we talk about becoming financially independent in less than 10 years. So by the time you're 60, you will be financially independent. So what we want to do with this video is not only give you a plan, but to also give you hope, because there is a lot of things that you can do now that will set you free for a very long time. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and
Join the journey.